Hey everyone, it's Andrew, and we're back finally with the second part of this ring design. Now, this is going to be a pretty simple design. The setting is kind of simple as well. It's just attached to the stone at 2 points there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a length of 30 gauge wire, and we're going to connect that. It honestly doesn't matter which wire you connect this to. I'm going with the outermost. It might have even been better to have set this on the middle wire, so that way this 30 gauge is kind of pinched between the other two wires. But either way, you want to secure your 30 gauge to one of your square wires that you've used in your ring. We're going to then start weaving that between the outermost and the innermost wires while going underneath the center wire, just to start a simple connection there. Then we're going to progress on up the outermost wire, probably about a centimeter or so, until we go back in, and then we connect the innermost again with the outermost wire using a cross weave. So we're going to cross that 30 gauge underneath the innermost wire, over, then back up and connect it to the outermost wire, wrap it around twice around that outermost wire, then bring it back under that innermost wire and connect it back to the outermost wire again. We're going to go about another centimeter or so, and we're going to do the same cross weave connection to bring those two wires together. We're going to do kind of a twice section of the cross weave. Then we're going to bring that back underneath. I decided to incorporate the center wire into the weave at this point to add some stability. You can incorporate the center wire at any point that you want, and feel free to add whatever you want to this design. I was tempted to add some silver beads to the center wire, or even the outermost, but I decided not to, just to make the video just a little bit, more concise and stuff like that. So I'm just going to continue doing that sort of weave pattern, incorporating the center wire every once in a while. I like to use my pliers when I'm doing weaves like this to keep all of my wires straight, just to even them back out every once in a while. Because when you're weaving stuff together, it'll kind of pull the wires certain ways, and you want to make sure that all three of those wires remain flat the entire time that you're weaving them together. This section also has that middle wire incorporated again. Now you can see this is starting to shape up. Every once in a while you might want to re-pinch those settings just to make sure that that stone is held into place. And at this point, I didn't do it myself, but this is what I would recommend. I would bring the 30 gauge up to that other swirl and connect that outermost swirl wire to this strand of 3. So basically, bring that 30 gauge from the strand of 3, weave it over to that other swirl on the other side, and connect them. I did not do that on this one point. I did do it on the other point when I finished up the ring, and I felt that that side had a much stronger connection for the stone and just was more stable. And so I'm getting towards the end of this length here. Weaving in those wires one more time, going up from the outermost wire to the center wire, and then I'm going to the innermost wire, and then back to the center and back to the outermost. Play around with the weave patterns that you do with these 3 wires, or if you made your ring band with 4 wires, that kind of gives you a bit more space for creativity. And basically what you're going to want to do is, once you're done weaving everything together, you're going to want to continue bringing that 30 gauge wire down around basically right to the end of where you're going to be tucking that 30 gauge underneath your ring band. I don't like to have the 30 gauge running underneath the ring band. I just bring it up to the edge, as you'll see me example here soon, and then I bring those edges underneath, and it kind of tucks everything together and pinches that 30 gauge next to the band. So I'm right around where the end of that base will tuck under to the band, and I'm going to clip off my 30 gauge here. Always a lot of minor adjustments and stuff that we've got to do. And then now I'm going to tie down my ends to the ring band and tighten everything up and make sure it's all nice and snug and secure. I wrap my base wires around the band one time around fully, and then bringing the tip back around to the top and folding it down back over the band so that way everything is all flat and even. I then also, during the polish, I smooth those tips down and stuff so that way everything is nice and even and won't catch on anything. So now we're going to do a similar weave pattern on the other side, again utilizing 30 gauge wire to bind all of these together. I did a pretty much exactly the same design on this other side. Feel free to mix it up and do an asymmetrical design. You know, this is where you get to express your creativity, and you can kind of just choose what you want to do with these points. I really just want to make these videos as kind of like a guide for you all, and then, you know, my hope is that you all take these skills as just kind of guidelines and use them to think up some new things and some stuff that I haven't even done. So I hope that they just kind of push you to, you know, do something different. So again, we're going to bring that 30 gauge all the way down to the end. You can kind of see where I've crossed that over to the other spiral and connected both of the sides. It was much more secure, much more stable. I highly recommend you do that on both sides of your rings. I've done that with other ones. I don't know why I didn't do that on the first section, but it was just not as stable as I would hope. So bringing that to the end. Once you've brought all of your ends and you've tucked them over your band, you want to make sure everything is nice and snug together. So I use my pliers and make sure that they're nice and tight and everything's kind of, you know, pinched down very snugly and secure onto that band. So again, kind of exampling where I didn't do the weave there. I highly suggest you do that weave. On the other side I did, and it's just much more stable, and I like how that side ended up. I hope this was inspirational and educational for you all. The stone's pretty secure in there, but yeah, again, I recommend you do that full weave on each side. Thanks again. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this video.